Hello and welcome to the Voice of Iron, and in this session, we'll be reading about the Commando light Battlemech. Description: in 2463, Coventry Metalworks, then known as Coventry Defense Conglomerate, introduced their second Battlemech, the Com-1A Commando, designed by Andre Barclow. Created for the Lyran Commonwealth Armed Forces and one of the first mechs ever designed for reconnaissance, the Commando was much lighter and faster than its precursors, though it still utilized primitive Battlemech technology. The Commando was able to destroy much heavier Cretan gladiators during the first large-scale battle between Battlemechs in 2475 on Nox. The installed large laser caused several problems, and soon other mechs, such as the Wasp in 2464 and the Stinger in 2479, were introduced that were better equipped for scouting and even mounted jump jets. The Commando's profile was radically changed with the introduction of the sophisticated Com-2D variant in 2486, which exchanged the laser weaponry with short-range missiles and turned the machine into a striker. With only 4 tons of armor to protect itself, the Commando was not meant to participate in a stand-up fight against heavier enemies, but it excels at hit-and-run tactics and as a scout hunter. The Commando became popular among LCAF forces and, nearly 600 years later, is still mainly in use by Lyrans. The Commonwealth went to great pains to keep the mech solely in Lyran hands, especially during the years of the Star League. It took an alliance with the Federated Sons and the creation of the Federated Commonwealth to break the stranglehold. The Commando was chosen as the standard light battlemech for the armed forces of the Federated Commonwealth next to the Valkyrie, and after the upgrade to the Com-5S model in 3050, Vandenberg Mechanized Industries was allowed to produce the old Com-2D for the Tarian Defense Force. Furthermore, the Marian hegemony deploys the rocket launcher-packed Com-4H, and the Word of Blake produced its own Com-7B variant during its occupation of Coventry from 3068 to 3074. Weapons and equipment. The standard Com-2D Commando carries 2 different SRM launchers, a Coventry SRM-4 and a Shannon 6-shooter SRM-6, each with 1 ton of ammo. The secondary weapon is a Defiance B3M medium laser. This weapons load can cause a lot of damage for a light mech, and makes the Commando an effective striker, especially when used in groups. An often used tactic for those is to rush upon a single target, concentrate their fire, and retreat before the enemy can offer effective resistance. The Com-2D's communication gear, Crystal Flower RG-2, as well as the Star Shark targeting system, were produced by Tharhess on Tharkad. Variants. The Com-1A. The original Commando used prototype equipment that was similarly primitive to those found in the first Battlemech, the Mackie, and was completely replaced by its successor. First constructed in 2463, the mech was equipped with an Odin large laser mounted in its right arm. It was fitted with 5 tons of primitive armor, and the engine could move the mech up to a maximum speed around 80 kilometers per hour. These were the early commandos that took part in the Battle of Nox in 2475 against Draconis Combine forces. The Com-1AK. Created by Weschel Royal Industrial Repair and Heavy Machining on Comberg, this Retrotech Commando variant replaces the large laser of the Com-1A with a medium laser in each arm, supported by a head-mounted small laser. The remaining tonnage is devoted to additional armor, for a total of 7.5 tons. The Com-1B. Because the idea of a commando that was armed, like its ancestor, with a long-range large laser appealed to many mech warriors, Lyran engineers developed the Com-1B in 3015. This variant wielded a large laser and an SRM-2 in addition to the medium laser. To make space for these changes, the engineers had to remove the SRM-6 launcher. However, this variant was short-lived. The Com-1C. This version removed all the missile racks and replaced them with an AC-2 with 1 ton of ammunition. It appears to have been an experiment in providing direct fire support. The COM 1D. The 1D variant that appeared in 2480 exists as the transition from the COM 1A to the 2D, and has maintained a regular but low-profile existence throughout the Commando's history. It fields a large laser and an SRM-6 rack, but only 3 tons of armor. The COM 2DR. This Jihad-era update of the old COM 2D drops all of the existing weaponry and replaces it with a case-protected MML-7 and a single ER medium laser. The COM 3A. The COM 3A carries 2 SRM-6 launchers, a medium laser, and a flamer. This was accomplished by removing the SRM-4 launcher and lowering the amount of armor on the mech by 1 ton. This variant appeared in 3025 and became quite popular because of its hitting power. The COM 4H. The Marian Hegemony 4H variant of the Commando is used in the periphery and removes all of the SRM launchers and replaces them with 6 RL-15s, as well as a second medium laser. The COM 5S. The COM 5S was introduced in 3050 and was the first mass-produced Commando to feature recovered Star League technology. Its new Cyclops Multitasker 10 targeting system links an Artemis 4 fire control system to the Coventry 90M SRM-6, which replaces the Shannon 6-shooter, and exchanges the SRM-4 with a Coventry T4H Streak SRM-2 launcher. Additionally, the chassis has been upgraded with endosteel, and the armor has been upgraded to ferrofibrous, and case has been added to protect the ammunition. The variant is also equipped with a new communication system called Cyclops 14. The COM 7S. This update of the COM 5S, introduced in 3064, is also built on an endosteel chassis, but uses a new light fusion engine. The mech carries 2 Streak SRM-2 launchers, an SRM-4 with an Artemis 4 fire control system, and an ER medium laser in each arm. The COM 7B. Following the conquest of Coventry by the word of Blake, the jihadists modified the 7S to meet their specifications. The 7B keeps 1 ER medium laser in the left arm, but adds 2 flamers to it, making the 7B a lethal threat to unarmored infantry. A small cockpit makes room for 2 SRM-4s, which are still fed by a case-protected ammunition bin. The weight savings enabled engineers to add 1 additional ton of armor and enough jump jets to rocket the Commando up to 120 meters at a time. The COM 7X. The 7X variant exchanges the SRM-4 for an additional medium laser in each arm, for a total of 3. It retains the SRM-6, and the ammunition bin for the SRM-4 is repurposed to provide a second ton of ammunition. Team Venom fielded at least 1 such mech in a raid against the Draconis Combine in 3044. The COM 8S. This version of the Commando uses an endosteel chassis and XL engine that propels it to a maximum of 110 km per hour. It carries a pair of Streak SRM-2 launchers in the right arm, fed by Case 2 protected bay, and a pair of ER medium lasers in the left arm. A C3 boosted slave allows the Commando to share targeting data with friendly forces, and a supercharger allows it to reach speeds of 140 km per hour in short bursts. And finally, the COM 9S. Based off of the chassis of the 8S, the 9S changes the normally short-ranged Commando into a long-range harasser, removing the C3 boosted slave and existing weaponry for a pair of torso-mounted MML-3 racks to emulate the standard SRM-6 of earlier models, whilst providing LRM fire, generally carrying a ton of each missile type. The usual medium laser of the Commando is replaced with a longer-ranged light PPC, with a pair of improvised one-shot SRM-2s being the sole exclusively short-range weapons. Personal notes. For me, the Commando is a very fun mech. The first time that I got behind the wheel of one, or rather in the cockpit of one, in MechWarrior 5, I have to say it was a blast. It's fast, it's powerful for its size, and when you can run up on a medium mech and absolutely wreck its armor in just a couple of shots, it's one of the most satisfying things you can do while zipping across the battlefield. Now, it's dangerous to be in one of these things, do not get me wrong. One wrong move, one lucky shot by the enemy, heck, one well-aimed shot by the enemy. No luck needed, and you're done. If they leg you, or even take out one leg, you're basically a sitting duck. And if they manage to get you in the CT with anything like a large laser above, you're gonna have a really, really bad day. And yet, when you can run through a bunch of medium and even heavy mechs, and especially when you can run circles around an assault mech just slamming short-range rockets into it, or firing a large laser at an extended period while still running literal circles around your enemy, it's a lot of fun. I can see why the Lyrans like this thing. It's a lot of firepower in a very small, very affordable package. And personally, if I had the choice to add a Commando to my team over most other light mechs in its weight class, I'd pick the Commando. Anyway, that concludes today's reading, and thank you for listening to my voice.